Hello there. A very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. You know what day this is and what program it is. That's why we're here with me to give you that extra touch. We'll give you the extra on the news tonight. The Federal Executive Council moves to step up infrastructural development. The Council also gives special attention to its media organizations. We'll tell you about that in a moment. Today, Budget 2019, economy and economy-related stories top the table. But we also have politics, development stories, and your usuals. I'm talking about business news, sports, and Thursday's weather prospects. Now, don't go away. Let's go through the bulletin together. I am Fatima Abbas Hassan, and this is News Extra. The Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, this Wednesday approved the distribution of 619.857 billion naira for distribution to the 3 tiers of government. Given a breakdown of the distribution, Director of Funds at the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, Muhammad Kudus Man, says revenue accrued in the month of February was 26.8 billion naira, lower than what was generated in January.
44.176 billion naira, being the balance on the Forex equalization account, was added to this, including exchange gain difference of 858 million naira. The balance in the excess crude account as of 27th March 2019 is $183 million.
He dismissed insinuations that the federal government is facing challenges with salary obligations, assuring that payments would commence promptly. The Federal Executive Council has approved the establishment of a high-powered committee of ministers and heads of other relevant governmental agencies towards identifying ways and means of significantly enhancing the financing of infrastructure in the country. Now, this is aimed at fast-tracking ongoing efforts by the federal government at addressing the nation's infrastructure deficit for sustainable growth and development of the economy. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Okechukwu Enelama, announced the approval at a media briefing after the council's meeting. State House correspondent Adam Musambo reports on this and other resolutions of the council.
Over by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Federal Executive Council meeting, which lasted about 6 hours, deliberated extensively on the alternative sources of funding for infrastructure development in the country. To this end, members approved a committee of ministers chaired by the Minister of Trade and Investment to work with the chief executive officers of relevant organs of government, including the Sovereign Investment Authority and the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, to come up with recommendations on how to significantly increase Nigeria's infrastructure financing.
We would like to see infrastructure spending increase to the $10 to $20 billion range per year over the next 5 to 10 years, because we think that's the level of our needs. But obviously, government cannot do it alone. So we want to partner with other stakeholders to do it.
The report of the committee is expected to be submitted to Council within 30 days as part of the concluding work of the Buhari administration's first tenure. The minister also secured the council's approval for the award of a 1.5 billion naira contract for the provision of services to over 4.6 million people under the Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program, GEP.
The Government Enterprise and Empowerment Program is one of the federal government of Nigeria's social investment programs and is a major economic stimulant which has provided affordable credit to over 1.5 million Nigerians already. And like I said, the target is to reach 4.6 million people before this first phase will end.
The council also approved contract for the design of the head office of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, in Abuja, the nation's capital, at 1.4 billion naira.
It's a 12 floor head office building in a land that has already been allocated to DPR over the years by the FCT, to begin a process of trying to relocate them to Abuja, which is essential for the ministry. But DPR, like you know, is the regulatory arm of the ministry. Also does supervision in terms of breaches, and has been very, very instrumental in terms of income generation.
The total projected potential cost of the magnificent edifice, the minister said, is about 35 billion naira. And when completed and put to use, DPR is expected to be self-independent and self-financially generating. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has approved over 1.3 billion naira for the procurement of necessary equipment for the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, and the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN. The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, who announced this while briefing journalists after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council, said this is the first major intervention by government for enhanced service delivery in the media organizations for a very long time. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo again reports.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, flanked by the Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, and his counterparts from the FRCN and the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, briefed the Council on the operational challenges of the media organizations and the need for government intervention. This, he said, is necessary to enable them perform their responsibilities of, amongst others, projecting the activities of government efficiently and effectively. Consequently, the Council approved 283.8 million naira requested by the NTA for the procurement of new cameras, microphones, and TVU parks.
It's significant to note that in the last 20 years, only twice has an attempt been made to upgrade the equipment of the NTA. The first being in 1999 during the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, and the last 2009 when Nigeria hosted the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Therefore, there's been a need for quite a long time to upgrade the equipment to perform its duty of safeguarding democracy, of disseminating news.
For the FRCN, it was a ratification of an anticipatory approval for the purchase of 12 10-kilowatt transmitters at 561.4 million naira, as well as 3 outside broadcast vans at 311.6 million naira.
You will note that for quite a while, the medium and shortwave bands in FRCN had been used for almost 4 decades without any attempt to upgrade or replace them. So this is a major shot in the arm for the FRCN to upgrade its transmitters, and also procure new outside broadcasting bands.
148.7 million naira has also been approved for the News Agency of Nigeria, NAN, towards acquiring 15 operational vehicles from Peugeot Nigeria Limited. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Many thanks, Adamu Sambo, sharing news there for media organizations in Nigeria. Now, annual budget is the most important piece of legislation in democracies. It is an embodiment of financial policy that gives direction to a nation's economy. In recognition of this, and to give Nigerians a sense of belonging, the National Assembly engaged relevant stakeholders on the contents of the 2019 Appropriation Bill. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo has this report.
2019 National Budget Hearing. This started in 2017 and has become a tradition for the Nigerian Parliament. Apart from the various budget scrutiny by various parliamentary committees, the National Assembly, in its wisdom, convenes a public hearing where relevant ministries, heads of departments, agencies and civil society organizations make contributions to the distribution formula of the Commonwealth. National Assembly was clear on the importance of this interaction.
It, among other things, helped in tackling the issue of double and uncoordinated budgeting lines, identifying and make adequate budgetary provisions for items that were not captured in the executive proposal.
All parties relevant in this budget process to team up within a cooperative framework to achieve needed objectives.
That the appropriations bill is submitted not later than September of the preceding year, which would give the legislature ample time to process the document and pass it in good time.
Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma Udoma, his counterpart in the Ministry of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, made some clarifications on the visibility of oil price of $60 United States per barrel and sources of funding the 2019 budget deficit.
And we said we would engage the National Assembly, even as we are processing the budget. If information comes to, if we get information that suggests that this price is not conservative enough.
The 2019 proposed budget deficit is going to be financed by borrowing both locally as well as internationally. And the spread we hope to achieve is a 50-50 ratio.
The Nigerian Labour Congress, Policy and Legal Advocacy Center, and other civil society organizations made observations on the 2019 budget, such as the inclusion of funds for the full payment of the new minimum wage and a critical look at service-wide votes in Nigeria's annual budget. Budget defense continued in committee rooms where the West African Examination Council, local and international, and the Joint Admission and Matriculation Examination Board, JAMB, defended their budgets before the Senate Committee on Basic and Secondary Education.
So making the best we can for this country, take it to a higher level.
Meanwhile, the Chairman Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, briefed National Assembly correspondents, during which he assured Nigerians of a rancor-free election of presiding officers of the Ninth Senate.
The capacity to be able to have that peace in the chamber to enable us have a bipartisan chamber where our colleagues in PDP will feel confident that there is a leadership that is trusted even by his own people.
The Senate spokesperson also acknowledged the role of the media in democratic process. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Now, the essence of monitoring, checks and balances, be it in public or private organizations, is to ensure accountability, efficiency, and of course, optimal performance. The House of Representatives Committee on Public Accounts reiterated this point when the Auditor General of the Federation, Anthony Anyine, appeared for budget defense. National Assembly correspondent Lani Ali has the details.
During the engagements with the team from the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation, Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Public Accounts, Kingsley Chinda, noted that the fight against corruption will achieve more when institutions like the Office of the Auditor General are strengthened.
All the things you have in your budget, will they add to efficiency? Are they going to be effective if implemented? What value would it add to Nigerians?
Appropriation for 2018 was 1.947 billion approximately. Our proposal for 2019 was 3.036 billion approximately.
The committee said issues of underfunding will be addressed. In another development, the House Committee on Industries interfaced with the Standards Organization of Nigeria to assess its budget performance for 2018 and scrutinize 2019 proposals.
Is there no appropriation for transfer to CRF Was there no achievement to date in respect of transfer effected to CRF, or you are accumulating it until when you are asked by the federal government?
Standard Organization of Nigeria intends to consolidate on the gains of the past, what we've been able to, the modest achievements we've been able to make in terms of human and capital infrastructure, with the guidance and approval of this Honorable House.
Both parties agreed that the interaction was fruitful as suggestions were made for adjustments on proposals in order to ensure quality and standards are not only sustained but improved on in terms of products manufacturing in Nigeria and those imported for local markets. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Reducing poverty, illiteracy, and ultimately death can be achieved when resources are channeled to human capital development. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, and Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi II, expressed the view at a gala night in Lagos, where Nigeria's banking sector was also adjudged as having the capability to overcome the ties and challenges of the nation's economy. State House correspondent Jide Onifade has more on that.
This is a gathering of movers and shakers of the Nigerian economy. They're made up of bankers, entrepreneurs, and policy makers. They are here to celebrate the 125 years of banking in the country. While they rejoice, there is the call to maintain standard and accommodate new vision.
The status of being an icon comes with responsibility. You have nothing more to prove except that good values can be allowed to thrive and should adhere. Because your success all these years reinforced our belief in ourselves as a people and as a nation, that not only are we capable of building great institutions, we can nurture them for centuries.
A thought-provoking speech by one-time governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria and Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, leaves all heads bowed and jaws drooped.
The most important Nigerian is the Nigerian at the bottom of the pyramid.
A presentation by Bolanle Austin Peters Troop stresses the importance of efficient and effective service to the nation. In Lagos, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Now, for Africa's regional integration to succeed in being inclusive and transformational, policymakers need to make the necessary linkage in both concept and practice. A professor at the Center of Comparative Law in Africa, Faisal Ismail, stated this while speaking at a forum in Lagos. Ken Egbeluge reports that the event was organized by the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies.
Regional integration and the process of globalization and free trade has become a major topic of political debate and controversy across the world. The exit of Britain from the European Union, the United States President Trump's American First trade policy are aimed at regional integration. African countries, on the other hand, must take advantage of the continent free trade agreement to reinforce and strengthen each other in trade. Professor Faisal Ismail admitted that there are concerns that some countries, particularly the smaller countries, are more vulnerable economies. He argued that the African Continental Free Trade Agreement has the potential to increase growth and stimulate industrial development.
Develop an approach which will ensure that all the countries in Africa will benefit from this. Not only the larger economies like South Africa, where I come from, or Nigeria or Kenya, but also the smaller countries.
As long as you are projecting to increase foreign exchange earnings, the way out there is to compete favorably with outside manufacturers.
In advancing regional trade integration, African policymakers need to nurture small and medium-sized enterprises and manufacturing.
Who can be stronger than Nigeria in trading services? We dominate the continent in almost every sphere. of human endeavor. So one of our biggest exports will be our people.
Then when it comes to intellectual property, we are talking of filmmaking, artists and all that. We are ready to conquer the world. So we should deal with the problem that we have in manufacturing.
Observers are hopeful that the Nigerian government will soon put pen to paper in the Continent Free Trade Agreement so as to benefit from it. In Lagos, Ken Igbeluge, NTA News.
The idea of establishing export-free zones in Nigeria is to promote trade between neighboring nations through export of goods and services. 20 years ago, Jigawa State Government established Maigatari Export-Free Zone in the Nigeria-Niger Republic border. NTA's correspondent Abdullahi Garba revisits the site to see how it's faring, especially in adding value to the present government's policy of zero importation and promoting export of some products.
Town in Gumel Emirate of Jigawa State is a border town between Nigeria and Niger Republic. One good feature about this historic town is its international market that attracts buyers and sellers across regional and international origin. They come from far and near because of the tons of products being brought to the market on the market day, which is every Thursday of the week. Indeed, Maigatari is considered the largest market with concentration of livestock such as cows, camels, sheep, but to mention a few. Maigatari market could be considered as economic hub of Jigawa State, considering the number of business transactions and millions of naira exchanging hands on weekly basis.
We see the unity that we are marketing together, and then we are transitioning the market together. So no any problem with us.
If I'm to comment, the uniqueness of this market is about all about livestock, because when you come to this market, there's no type of animal that you cannot get here.
This necessitated the establishment of an export-free zone by Saminu Turaki administration in 1999. Although the project did not take off early, federal and the state governments collaborated with the private sector to provide incentives for its takeoff. A visit to the site recently shows a little of business activity as it's not fully operational. Some manufacturers and exporters are, however, taking advantage of the agricultural revolution of Buhari administration to buy, process and export sesame seeds. There is also a garment industry promoting quest for made in Nigeria goods. The concern by stakeholders and residents of this gigantic market is for federal government to revive the zone with a needed power supply and create more awareness on its activity. For now, there is the presence of a bank, a motel, an official of the export promotion and border protection agencies. Economists believe this initiative, if promoted, will help Buhari administration's policy of stopping importation and promoting more exportation of Nigerian goods, taking advantage of this international market. In Maigatari, Jigawa State, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
It's time now to go to our Lagos studio live to join Abolade Salami for business news. It's over to you, Abolade.
Welcome to Business News segment. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says the nation lost over 1.3 trillion naira through procurement and contract fraud process between 2011 and 2015. The Anti-Graft Agency and the Bureau for Public Procurement at a training workshop in Lagos emphasized the need for regulation and implementation of procurement reform. Crime in Nigeria, followed by bribery and corruption at 33%, accounting fraud at 32%, while business misconduct stands at 31%. These disturbing figures bring to bear the zero tolerance of the federal government to all forms of corrupt practices. It's against this background that the Anti-Graft Agency and the Bureau for Public Procurement organized the procurement training for its officers on the need to acquire skills that result in transparent and efficient public procurement process.
I take, for instance, money stolen by just 32 people between 2011 and 2015 through procurement and contract fraud process was well over 1.3 trillion naira. The procurement reform has in no little measure achieved huge dividends in preventing corruption in Nigeria.
Government, they say, will not hesitate to invoke the sanctions of the Public Procurement Act of 2007 against any public officer who contravenes any provision of the law. The rise in electronic payment service and improved technology in the financial sector have resulted in the review of Payment Service Vision 2020 by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Deputy Governor of Financial System Stability, Aisha Ahmed, said the value of electronic transaction in 2018 rose to 58.85 trillion naira.
Nigeria's electronic payment system has continued to evolve with the introduction of new technologies. Data from the Nigerian Interbank Settlement System reveals that automated teller machines rose from 295 million in 2013 to 875 in 2018, while point of sale of transaction increased by 9 million in 2013 to 285 million in 2018. This improvement, CBN's Deputy Governor of Financial System Stability, Aisha Ahmed, says will spur the Apex Bank to review the PSV 2020 so as to provide a regulatory framework that supports innovation and promotes financial stability.
And the goal is a payment system that is nationally utilized but internationally recognized. We want to promote efficiency, we want to support innovation, and want to anticipate and manage the risk of these new technologies. We must move beyond fraud monitoring and compliance and look at this threat holistically.
To sustain this achievement, the Deputy Governor of Financial System Stability told industry operators to build capacity of their systems to handle significant volumes of e-transactions.
Let's talk equities. Midweek trading closed in the red, depreciating by 0.67%. Here's today's trading.
U.S. equities market closed in the red, depreciating by 0.67%, with an all-share index of 30,829.45 basis points. Volume of shares traded finished at 131 million, valued at 1.43 billion naira, which exchanged hands in 2,786 deals. Market capitalization closed at 11.5 trillion naira. Okomu Oil, Cadbury and Zenith Bank were among the stocks that posted gains, while Seplat, Stanbic and Presco declined in figures. Most sectors closed midweek in the red territory, as NSE Banking, Consumer Goods, NSE Insurance and Oil and Gas declined by 0.98%, 0.39%, 1.32% and 0.84%, while NSE Industry closed in the green, appreciating by 0.03%.
And that does it on business news. The news continues with Fatima in Abuja. Good evening.
Many thanks, Abolade. Now, towards a rank-free executive-legislative relationship, governing APC picks candidate for Senate presidency. Find out the chosen one when we return. Please stay.
We, the Women's Wing of the All Progressives Congress, APC, heartily congratulates the President, Muhammadu Buhari, his wife, Aisha Buhari, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and his wife, Dolapo Osinbajo, the APC National Women Leader, Hajia Salamatu Beiwa, and all APC members on their victory at the recently concluded polls. APC Progress. This message is brought to you courtesy APC Deputy National Women Leader, Honorable Ihoma Onyebuchukwu.
In furtherance of its effort to restore the Abuja Master Plan, the Federal Capital Territory Administration wishes to notify the general public that all property and plot owners along all major arterial ways in the city are hereby requested to close illegal access gates, clear overgrown grasses, and redecorate their properties in line with extant rules and regulations in the FCT. Also, all property and plot owners along Ahmadu Bello Way are expected to comply with this order within 2 weeks, while those along other arterial ways must comply within 1 month from the date of this announcement or face appropriate sanctions. This announcement serves as final notice. Abuja Metropolitan Management Council for FCT Administration. Announcer.
What is it that transforms the economies of the world? More than a nation's natural resources, it is about the quality of its people. The UAE has largely transitioned from an oil-driven economy into one that is knowledge-based. And by developing their human capital, others who have little or no natural resources have become global leaders in technology and innovation. We can also do the same. Combining modern skills with entrepreneurship development will give rise to enterprises which can increase the demand and capacity for skilled labor. Our mission at the Industrial Training Fund is to provide the knowledge and skills that can meet this demand, in recognition that this combination is the global currency of the 21st century economies. And so for us, this is what it's all about.
This is to inform the general public that the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, will launch the Micro Pension Plan, NPP. The plan will extend the coverage of the contributory pension scheme to the informal sector and the self-employed. This is an initiative of the National Pensions Commission, PENCOM, in conjunction with the Pensions Operators Association of Nigeria, PENOB. Date, Thursday, 28 March 2019. Venue, Banquet Hall, State House, Aso Rock, Abuja. Time, 11:30 a.m. Guests are to be seated by 11 a.m. prompt. Please note that attendance is strictly by invitation. National Pension Commission, PENCOM. Announcer.
Your perfect family is under threat by germs. Infectious diseases are now the world's biggest killer of adults and children. These infectious diseases are caused by germs. They are everywhere. An average human being comes in contact with over 1 million germs daily in unclean water, dirty surfaces, in the toilets, on cuts and wounds, on your clothes. Germs can cause deadly diseases like typhoid, diarrhea, flu, and cough. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's One Capful for surface cleaning in your bathing water, in your laundry water, for first aid to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Introducing Dettol Antiseptic Liquid in Sachet for only 40 naira.
Endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
This is to notify all members of the body of benchers that the maiden edition of the award night, during which awards will be presented to all former chairmen of the body and life benchers, is scheduled to take place as follows. Date, 29th March 2019. Venue, Aloma Mukhtar Banquet Hall, National Judicial Institute, Abuja. Time, 3 p.m. Members are expected to be robed in bencher's lawyer's gown as dressed during court bar ceremonies. For inquiries, kindly contact the body of bencher secretariat on 0906 408 3585. Members are also notified to see the Punch newspaper and Daily Trust newspaper of 22nd March 2019 for comprehensive list of the recipients. This event is strictly by invitation. Mrs. H.A. Turaki, Secretary, Body of Benchers, announces.
Good to have you join us again. We begin with the judiciary. The Court of Appeal has granted an order of substituted service on the President for the purpose of hearing the petition of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, against the election of President Buhari. This came from an ex parte application heard by the Court of Appeal. Judicial correspondent Femi Okeo has that report.
In terms of the physical structure and indeed the composition of the panel, everything is now set for the sitting of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal for the 2019 general elections. But key to the sitting of this panel are some preliminary issues. One of them is service. Service is key to any petition or litigation. It is the means by which parties in any matter are brought to court or notified of proceedings. So, in the petition filed before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar and the PDP, who are the petitioners, requested the Court of Appeal in an ex parte application to grant an alternative means of serving the President since they have not been able to gain access to the nation's #1 office. Justice Yusuf Aboki, who led 2 other justices, granted the prayers for substituted service and ordered that the president can now be served through the National Secretariat of the All Progressive Congress, APC. The Presidential Election Petition Tribunal is yet to fix a date for the commencement of hearing. In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
And going by the resolution of the All Progressives Congress, APC, the leadership tussle ahead of the inauguration of the 9th National Assembly, particularly on the Senate leadership within the party, has been laid to rest. The party's National Publicity Secretary, Lanre Issa Onilu, at a press conference in Abuja said, Senate leader Ahmed Lawal, representing Yobe North, is the party's choice candidate for the Senate presidency for the 9th Senate. Salihu Abdullahi completes the report.
In about 3 months' time, June 8 precisely, Nigeria's 9th National Assembly will be inaugurated, during which new leaders are expected to emerge. As it has been the practice in democratic system, especially where presidential system is operated, the political party with majority lawmakers lead the House. At this forum, the All Progressives Congress spokesperson reflected on the experience of the past and expressed readiness of the APC to partner with its lawmakers to constitute a 9th Assembly leadership that will key into the party's policies for the well-being of the citizens, as championed by the Buhari administration.
We had an interaction with the senators-elect, with the president, governors, and leaders of the party, and NWC members, where it was presented to the stakeholders that the ruling party had decided on who would be the next Senate president, according to what the democratic principles allow. And that person's name has been announced, and that is Senator Ahmed Lawal. And since that has come out, this party has not come out to contradict itself. So that has been dealt with. It's left for the party to cross the T's and dot the I's.
Lanre Issa Onilu said the party is engaging stakeholders to ensure equitable zoning of principal officers in the 9th Assembly to all the geopolitical zones. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, guests on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, have urged winners of the 2019 general elections to toe the line of President Muhammadu Buhari by adopting an all-inclusive system of governance, irrespective of political affiliation, creed or gender, towards enhancing good governance and development across the country. Abdusalam Jibril has the details.
General elections dovetailed into supplementary elections which have been concluded except for 2 states. Guests on the program, while congratulating the winners, cautioned that the winner-take-all mentality is detrimental to Nigeria's political and economic development.
Even if you didn't win election, you should be brought in, you should be brought in so that you can contribute your quota. It is possible that the person who lost election may even have a better agenda than the one that wins.
Whoever got declared or that won should first think, his thinking mood now should be we, not I. Because this attitude of I, my, me, is not as impactful as when you have the mentality of we.
Other guests noted that more still need to be done in terms of citizen participation and conduct of the political class in the electoral process.
Politicians are becoming more desperate and devising new ways to circumvent free, fair, and credible elections.
If you ask a sizable number of those elected, many of them today, I will not be wrong, more than 70–80% of those who go into election have never read the manifestos of their parties from cover to cover.
They also called for continuous voter education awareness, and mobilization to curb voter apathy and inducement as witnessed during the 2019 general elections. In Abuja, Abdusalam Jubril, NTA News.
Now, for every societal problem and challenge, there is a solution around the corner waiting to be explored for the good of the community. So, the new trend of vote buying in our national politics will soon be in the dustbin of history. This is the submission of stakeholders at an interactive forum on the implementation of constituency projects holding in Abuja. Ondas Ahmed was there.
Testimonies this time around not in the house of God, but by end beneficiaries of constituency projects spread across the country and backed by members of the National Assembly since the return of democracy in 1999. The project, which range from healthcare facilities to education, road and water project, among others, have immensely impacted on the lives of the populace.
It is our hope that participants will share with us some thoughts on their various experiences in the implementation of the zonal intervention and constituency projects and programs.
And I pray that as we continue with this program, we'll enlighten ourselves so that we'll deliver zonal intervention projects and constituency projects to the benefits of Nigeria in line with the next level agenda.
But to drive the point home, experts at the forum are saying constituency projects are direct antidote to vote buying, as when such projects are efficiently executed by the politicians, it will serve as proof for their stewardship to their constituents.
By the time the elected representatives actually ensure they deliver on their mandates on the zonal intervention projects, when they want to come for the next election, you don't need to buy any votes.
So I would say it's a very veritable, a very credible program, and a program that is highly encouraged, and we wish to have more of it.
Constituency project where Nigeria, especially those at the grassroots, are given a new lease of life through provision of projects that will touch their life, will go a long way to not only take Nigeria to the next level, but with the implementation and good monitoring by this office, there will be transparency, accountability, and quality work at the end of the day. Ondas Ahmed, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has described Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu as one of the strong pillars of Nigeria's democracy, as he felicitates with the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, APC, on his 67th birthday. The president, in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, also joined the APC family in celebrating Asiwaju for his selflessness in serving his country and making life better for many. President Buhari affirmed that Asiwaju's uncompromising posture in the face of injustice and refusal to follow the path of least resistance for personal gains stand him out as the rare breed, especially with his track record of persistence, consistency, and effective leadership. The president also commended the visionary and inclusive leadership style that Tinubu provided for the commercial nerve center of Nigeria for 8 years, which laid the foundation for a modern and technologically driven city of Lagos. The president also prayed that the Almighty God grants him longer life, good health, and more wisdom to keep serving the country. In readiness for the 20 legacy projects earmarked for commissioning by President Muhammadu Buhari by the present administration in Ogun State, the governor, Ibikule Amosu, says he is not slowing down, even as he is winding down the administration. Lekon Agbonde followed the inspection team and brought back this report.
Roads with flyovers to hospital, offices and judicial complexes under construction, the present administration in Ogun State is not slowing down even as it winds down. Some of the projects are of significance to the socio-economic life of not only the government, but the entire populace.
I can see construction going on like everywhere, and they are still going on, they are still working.
The governor said he would try his best possible to finish all the projects. We can only hope. We can only hope and trust that it will be supported by all the organs of government.
The state government is leaving no stone unturned as it intensified efforts towards fulfillment of the promise made not to leave any abandoned project, including magnificent judiciary complex, the ultra-modern 250-beds hospital, new office complex, all at Okemoson, OGTV New Digital Studio, City Center, and roads with flyovers and facilities across the state have all reached significant levels of completion. Road projects, including those in the West Senatorial Districts, the governor said will be ready for commissioning by President Muhammadu Buhari.
Indeed, we are taking note to say that how many projects do we have for Mr. President to commission. I think we have zeroed into about 20 projects now.
The expansion of this road, the Ibrahim Babangida Boulevard here in Abeokuta, with this flyover, is one of the several projects of the state government. The state government, Ibikunle Amosun, had promised that it will not leave any project uncompleted. And with this, the government is fulfilling its promise to ensure that all the projects are completed before the expiration of the present administration in Ogun State. In Abeokuta, Lekon Agbonde, NTA News.
Birth registration. Ondo State government applies the stick to ensure compliance. That's the outlook when we come back after the break. Join us again.
Everybody dance now. What? Louder. We are the strongest. No challenge can stop us. Oh Lord, and we are the brightest. No darkness can blind us. We are the strongest.
Malta Guinness is packed with B vitamins to fuel your greatness on the go.
I thought leaving the country was the best decision for me and my future.
I left for a better life.
We were picked up by immigration officials and sent to a detention camp.
I spent 8 months in the detention camp.
There was no food, no water.
I saw people being beaten like animals.
Some women were raped. Some women were sold as slaves.
I thought I would never see my loved ones again.
I have made the biggest mistake of my life.
I have wasted all my savings.
I have to start all over again.
Migration is a human phenomenon which cannot be stopped. But if we choose to migrate, we advocate that it should be done in a safe, orderly, regular and dignified way, and not in a dangerous and tortuous manner.
This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons.
You're welcome back. This is still NTA News Extra, reaching you live from the network service of the NTA. The Nigeria Financial Intelligence Unit wants Bureau de Change operators to sustain recent gains made in the fight against illicit financial flows by upholding the relevant guidelines on foreign exchange transactions. This was the message to a sensitization seminar in Abuja on how to ensure the sector meaningfully contributes to the nation's economic development. Olabode Arewa has that report.
Global Financial Integrity GFI shows that Nigeria lost about $8.3 billion to illicit financial transactions between 2010 and 2015, with Bureau de Change outfits as one of the major channels. Efforts by the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to track down such illicit funds are yielding results, with Nigeria now removed from the list of risky countries in which to do business. This sensitization workshop for Bureau de Change outfits is to remind them of their responsibility to make regular financial reports to the authorities on their forex transactions, in line with extant laws against money laundering.
We are transparent in our operations. Like I said, automation is key. We are moving from manual to digital so that our members can embrace international best practices.
There has been a lot of improvements, and we still feel there are still some gaps, which seminars of this nature will help to close up.
You can assist us in the fight against money laundering and other financial crimes. Some of the key decisions that may even be taking place today may be with inputs from some of the returns that you send to us.
They stop you from sharing money, and they stop you from moving money. But the only sad aspect of it is that some of us allowed ourselves to be used. Specifically for BDCs, allow themselves to be used.
Unlocking the potentials of Nigeria's diaspora remittances sector and foreign investment were also discussed.
Your prospects for attracting capital inflows are very bright. They've actually never been as bright as they currently are.
A large chunk of Nigeria's GDP of $520 billion comes to diaspora remittances. There are over 3,000 bureau de change operators in Nigeria who are duly licensed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Their cooperation with the financial authorities would ensure that the fight against financial crime and illicit financial inflows is more productive. In Abuja, Olabo Darewa, NTA News.
To consolidate on the success being recorded in the country's ease of doing business, Nigeria's business registration organ has engaged other stakeholders to collectively chart the best course for the nation. Kolo Muhammad has that report.
This was the setting at the opening of the Customer Stakeholders Forum, organized by the Corporate Affairs Commission in Abuja. It later dissolved into this format to break the barrier of regulator, practitioner, and give room for the interaction that will move Nigeria's ease of doing business to the next level. That seems to do the magic, as all parties opened up in a manner that elicited the desired result.
The Commission on its part has implemented various reforms aimed at strengthening its processes and procedures in line with international best practices. Some of these reforms include the full decentralization of operations, which you are all aware of, that you can start and finish your businesses from any of our offices across Nigeria.
Since the establishment of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council in 2016 by His Excellency the President Mohammed Buhari, GCFR, the Secretariat has partnered with relevant ministries, departments, and agencies with the broad mandate of making Nigeria an easier place to do business, especially for small businesses, the small and medium-scale enterprises.
It was one forum that offered all parties the opportunity to address all issues concerning company registration portal and reforms being undertaken to ease doing business in Nigeria. In Abuja, Kolo Muhammad, NTA News.
Now, no matter how close individuals or countries are, if such a relationship is not defined, the possibility of having crisis is inevitable. This informed the meeting of the Ministries of Mines in Nigeria and that of Niger Republic in Niamey on how the solid minerals in the boundary of the two countries can be explored. Mie Ogidi was there and now reports.
This is the Republic of Niger, sharing boundary with Nigeria in 6 states: Sokoto, Kebbi, Jigawa, Katsina, Borno, and Yobe. But lying in this boundary are the hidden wealth of these two countries. That is solid minerals ranging from uranium, limestone, iron ore, zinc, lead to gemstone. And these resources require a great deal of bilateral relations to avoid diplomatic row. So, Nigeria's Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Abubakar Bawa Buhari, and his team were in Niamey, the capital of the Republic of Niger, to perfect bilateral agreements on the exploration and exploitation of these resources. It was indeed a relationship solidified by the solid minerals, as the Niger Minister of Mines and Industry, Hassan Musa, offered the best reception to his Nigeria counterpart as they put their red pens to paper and the content of the agreement was for Africa's economic prosperity.
That in exploiting our mineral potentials, we do so in a manner that will guarantee peace, prosperity, and stability for the region. The critical areas of cooperation, the MOU, include exchange of information on the mining policies of the two countries, exchange of experts and skills while building human resources capacity in the mining sector. We will coordinate bilateral relationship in the fields of geology, exploration, mining, metallurgy, mining of mineral processing, beneficiation, and mineral economics.
After that agreement, a joint technical committee has already begun work on the realization of the terms of reference. For the Prime Minister of the Republic of Niger, Brigui Rafini, the continuous cooperation between Nigeria and Niger reflects the Pan-African spirit, and more of such sincere friendship is needed in the continent of Africa, as envisaged by its founding fathers. Mie Ogidi, NTA News.
The House Committee on Environment and Habitat has ordered the distribution of the over 800,000 abandoned gas and kerosene stoves procured by the Ministry of Environment as alternative cooking energy to firewood. The committee, during its oversight, discovered the stoves abandoned at the Nigerian National Park Service, Abuja, since 2016. John Yaku has the details.
The gas burners and kerosene stoves are said to have been procured by the Ministry of Environment in 2016 through a contract that went sour, leading to a court litigation. The House Committee, during its visit to the National Agency for the Great Green Wall, called for the distribution of the items to cut down deforestation in Nigeria.
I want you to intervene so that whatever it is meant for, let it be utilized so that government money is not wasted. It is taxpayers' money.
However, the former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Environment, now Director General, National Agency for the Great Green Wall, Dr. Bukar Hassan, said, until the case between the ministry and the contractor is resolved, the items cannot be distributed.
What can be done is for the contractor and the ministry to negotiate and agree on terms acceptable to both of them, so that these things can be released to the public and then people can make use of it.
What is the Chairman House Committee on Environment and Habitats doing to resolve this impasse?
Us as a committee, we're worried and we're lending our voice, and of course the authority given to us by the Constitution to make sure we resolve this matter quickly.
At the National OSP Detection and Response Agency, the Acting Director General, Obanewa Oladipo, called for a law to provide a pool of funds to respond to national disaster management in Nigeria. The committee also visited the Environmental Health Officers Registration Council of Nigeria, where it called for improved budgetary allocations. In Abuja, John Yaku, NTA News.
In appreciation of the federal government's intervention in the agricultural sector, maize farmers have vowed to ensure timely payment of the loans they collected under the loan scheme introduced by the Buhari administration. This is a good case of a responsive citizenry to governance. They made the pledge at an event to mark the loan repayment by the maize farmers in Gombe State. Abdurrahman Aliyu completes the report.
According to Anur, the response of the beneficiaries towards loan repayment in the state is encouraging, which he said qualifies farmers in the state for another batch of the scheme. The chairman appreciated the Gombe State executives of the Maize Farmers Association for their tireless effort in the loan recovery. According to the chairman, the association is currently compiling lists of new beneficiaries of the program across the country to enable more farmers benefit from the program. The loan repayment is by farm produce. Millions of farmers nationwide benefited from the Anchor Borrower program introduced by the Buhari administration to increase food production in the country. In Gombe, Abdurrahman Aliyu, NTA News.
Now, one of the challenges of development in Nigeria is getting people to key into and support government's policies and plans. Now, two options are open to government everywhere. That is, either to use persuasion or compulsion. Now, the Edo State government is toeing the path of the latter. Doris Olumoko now takes up the story on how government intends to make sure people register births.
Birth registration is the right of the child to an identity and nationality, which enables a child to receive medical treatment, go to school, inherit property, prevent child exploitation, and find legal work. However, statistics from UNICEF reveals that in sub-Saharan Africa, over 70% of children born every year are unregistered. In Akure, the capital of Ondo State, southwest Nigeria, the story is not different, as in the case of 2-month-old baby Adelabu.
I didn't know. I jumped here for the first time here.
Only 68% of children under age 5 have been registered in Ondo State. The wife of the governor, Mrs. Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu, say this is unacceptable.
No more will our children be without an identity. No more will our children lack access to social infrastructures. They are our children, and they must be planned for.
This is Omolasho Omoseyin, head of United Nations Population Fund Lagos. His birth was only registered about 7 years ago, but today he is an advocate of birth registration.
So why do you want to start registering as an adult when you can do that as a child? That's why this Olori Connection birth registration is a very, very useful and important program, which I will encourage everybody to make sure that their children are registered.
To this end, Ondo State government has rolled out a raft of executive orders to ensure the visibility of missed children.
The only other way we can get them properly registered is for us to put in place some form of checks, and the only way is make it compulsory. That's the language we understand in this country. That, okay, for my child to go to school, he must have a birth registration certificate. Everybody will sit up.
The accelerated birth registration campaign is reaching down to the grassroots with the involvement of wives of traditional rulers. In Akure, Doris Olumoko, NTA News.
Well, I only hope state governments borrow from the Ondo experience. Are public infrastructures built with a maintenance plan? We'll get to find out after this time out.
Follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
You're welcome back. We all know of the massive investment this government has made in infrastructure development, especially roads. Well, if you don't know, let me give you an example of the ongoing rehabilitation work on failed portions of the Jalingo to Zinc Road in Taraba State. This project is nearing completion. Joseph Watson visited the site and reports that the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA, is working hard to ease the sufferings of motorists plying that route.
It is men at work on the Jalingo to Zing Road, which heads to Noman in Adamawa State. For years, the road has been in a deplorable condition, with motorists facing difficulties while plying the route. However, the road users can now breathe a sigh of relief following ongoing maintenance work being carried out by the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency, FEMA.
Once they are able to make the road even manageable like this, we are going to be happy.
The road was too bad by then, but for now, we are very, very grateful.
We carry water now, we come here, the place no good. You are just now to make place good. We thank God with that. That is why everybody is happy.
FEMA says 8 kilometers failed portions from Apawa Junction in Jalingo to Zing has been earmarked for repairs within a period of 6 months. The agency is expecting that the contract would be completed before the stipulated period, considering 40% of the work has been executed.
Contractor just resumed site about 2 weeks ago. And you can see that with the pace of work and the speed of work, definitely within a very short period of time, he's going to accomplish the scope of work 100%.
For many of the motorists, the rehabilitation work is commendable, but they want the work to be extended down to Noman Road in Adamawa State, where large portions are in a sorry state. In Jalingo, Joseph Sound Oten, NTA News.
Now, the 5-man committee of experts recently inaugurated by the Lagos State government to look into the Itafaji building collapse has held a one-day public hearing on collapsed building at Bagoda Kaltho Press Center in Alausa. Nosa Oswola has the details.
The recent spate of collapsed buildings in Lagos State has become a source for concern amongst residents and the government alike. Chairman of the committee, Wasiu Olokunola, said the purpose of the gathering is to rub minds and prevent future occurrence of building collapse in Lagos, especially on Lagos Island.
Is to get first-hand information from all the professionals in the building sector. And we are happy that they all presented a memorandum with recommendation and pieces of advice.
Some professionals in the build sector comment.
The government needs to ensure that the right professionals are put into practice.
We have looked at the really main solution is like 3 M's. And then if we make sure that our materials are standard materials, they are materials that have been specified to have QCQA, quality control and quality assurance during even the procedures, it will solve a lot of problems.
The public hearing was attended by professionals in the build sector, including members of Institutes of Town Planners, Institutes of Builders, Architects, Engineers, Standards Organization of Nigeria, Institute of Estate Surveyors, Lagos Emergency Management Agency, and other Lagos State government agencies. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Now, in most parts of the world, provision of public infrastructure comes with a maintenance plan. This not only enables the infrastructure to serve optimally, but also to last longer. Can this be said of Nigeria, where public infrastructure is treated as belonging to no one? Well, in this next report, Victor Azu examines the lack of maintenance culture and its cost to the nation.
It's part of what remains of the 76 billion naira CCTV project. The solar panels and the cameras. This project typifies Nigeria's maintenance culture, or perhaps a lack of it. The closed-circuit cameras were part of the National Public Security Communications System (NPSCS) contract awarded in 2010 to a Chinese company, ZTE Corporation, at $470 million. It was meant to enhance security in the FCT. The CCTV cameras never worked, let alone detect any crime, not even that of vandalizing its very own components. Over the years, vandals have had a field day stealing public property that would have assisted in making life better for Nigerians. Where such facilities survive vandals, they are not properly maintained. Consequently, public utilities from government vehicles to street and traffic lights, public buildings and the refineries which got oil displacing agriculture as the mainstay of the economy, to mention a few, only served immediate purposes and then forgotten or abandoned. It is an established fact that Nigeria is a naturally blessed nation, one that is palpably so richly endowed with resources, human and material, that should spur her to greatness. The failure to properly maintain and manage Nigeria's resources, many believe, has cost the country as it continues to overhaul and restart perennially, rather than build on what is existent.
Up till 1983, the method used then was to have the states assist the federal government to maintain federal highways within their boundaries. So what the federal government did then was to provide equipment and resources, and that was done regularly.
This policy somersault is also said to have ushered in a decline of Nigeria's maintenance culture, and this has so permeated the society to the point of affecting productivity and ultimately national development. The Nigerian public service boasts some of the best professional hands, but this has not managed to turn the tide. And this structure was designed to be the car park for the federal civil servants. But if you look to my left and to my right, you will discover that it has become a mini marketplace. If this project will ever be completed, the cost would have multiplied when compared to the original budget. It is, however, not the situation with the Nigerian private sector, which seems to be succeeding where the public sector has failed. Jude Ashang is a facility management practitioner and consultant.
All you need to do is essentially set up what we call a planned preventive maintenance program. So you have those things that occur from time to time, routine maintenance activities, and based on your program, you have a plan and a schedule to address these items as at when due.
What could have been the impact of the CCTV on security in the FCT if the right policy and a good culture of maintenance were in place?
You cannot maintain an infrastructure if there was no plan before even the construction and the provision of the infrastructure.
If we own the facility, we take it seriously, to maintain it seriously. And then the general public should also understand that they should also help in the manner of its maintenance.
The citizens whose lives public infrastructure are supposed to improve also have their say on the situation.
The citizens' first role is to see that whatever facility that the government has put in place is supposed to be taken care of.
We need to look after this property as our own.
Now, as smooth and clean as this road looks, it could easily become a shadow of itself with a lack of proper maintenance. And experts insist that this is not because there are no policies, but because of a lack of adherence to policies. In Abuja, Victor Azu, NTA News.
After over 10 days in captivity in the hands of bandits, Sheikh Ahmed Suleiman has been released. Briefing the media, the Commander 13 Brigade, Katsina Brigadier General Lukman Omoni, says they were able to rescue the Sheikh following intelligence and a joint security operation. He said complying with the directives of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, the Sheikh and other captives were given a medical checkup and were ascertained to be in good health. Later, Sheikh Ahmed and the other captives were handed over to the Emir of Katsina, Alhaji Abdul Mumin Kabir Usman, who was represented by the Kauran Katsina, Alhaji Nuhu Abdul Qadir. After the presentation, The clerics were escorted to Kano by a joint security team. In view of its role in security monitoring and surveillance, the Cross River State government has called on the Nigeria Air Force to intensify air operations to put in check security situations across the country. Governor Ben Ayade, who made the call, said intensified air surveillance has become necessary to check outbreak of violence as witnessed between Cross River State and its neighboring communities. Uduak Etim has that report.
There is a reported crisis recently between Ukele axis of Yala local government area and Izi in Ebonyi state, which led to loss of lives and destruction of houses, and this has brought untold hardship to the people of the affected communities. In order to restore peace, Governor Ben Ayade called on the Nigerian Air Force during its visit to the government house Calabar to join hands with the state government and security agencies to checkmate the security threat in the area.
A real practical protection from the air cover that is expected. How can we improve our relationship? They used to have a chopper base in Calabar. Can we return to those good days? Before now, I had made an offer that I was willing to provide all the necessary logistic support for you to have a small Air Force base, as it were, here.
The Nigerian Air Force listed some of the critical assets of the force to the development of Cross River State and assured to intensify air operations for the needed protection.
The Air Force is always willing to assist. The issues you have raised in those community mentioned, I will bring it up to the Air Force headquarters, and maybe we'll get the surveillance airplane to come and overfly the area and see what exactly the situation on the ground.
In Calabar, Uduak Etam, NTA News.
We'll take a short break now. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
Family of Adachi Agbo regret to announce the funeral ceremony of late Mrs. Alice Enyamu Adachi, aged 74 years. Funeral arrangements. Thursday, 28 March 2019. Wake up at Gabriel Agada Adachi's compound, Unyi Ogogo. Friday, 29th March. Funeral Mass at St. John Catholic Church, Unyi Ogogo, by 10 a.m. Sunday, 31st March. Thanksgiving Mass at St. John the Apostle, Afante Territory. Sir Adachi Gabriel Agada, announcer.
This is News Extra. You're welcome back. And now for a bit on foreign sin. Mozambique confirms first cholera case in the wake of Cyclone Idai. For this and other